Revenge films.
It's been a few years since I married my husband, and we're a normal family with 2 kids, but we have a very happy life. My husband had a mother-in-law, but a few years ago, I had a small revenge on her. My husband left his parents' house when he was 18 and graduated university with his pay from his part-time job, scholarships, and some help from his relatives. His family was wealthy and owned a real estate in the center of Tokyo, and his father worked as a tax accountant at his own agency. But the reason why my husband had to support himself to go to university was because his mother-in-law got remarried with his father. His real mother had passed away in an accident before he entered elementary school, and his mother-in-law joined them after remarriage. His mother-in-law also had a son, and he was 2 years younger than my husband. But his mother was a demon, dressed like a lady.
I will have my son take over the family business. I'll kick you out.
That was what she decided, and my husband was treated horribly. Unfortunately, his father was too busy with work and rarely got the chance to go home. So he ended up getting remarried before he fully grasped what she was really like. The main story starts here. Before we got married, my husband proposed to me, which I answered yes, and we decided to go meet each other's parents. We also visited my husband's parents, and his father was really happy for us. But the first thing his mother-in-law told me was,
Are you here for our money? Then I'm sorry, but you chose the wrong person.
And she spat at me. His father tried to calm her down, but that didn't stop her. My husband had told me a little bit about his mother-in-law, and he said she might be rude to us when we visit his parents' house. But when she actually treated us rudely right in front of me, I honestly got pissed off. And since then, not only my husband, but I also became the target, and she started to bully both of us. Well, I wasn't the type to give up so easily, so I did complain about her, saying she pissed me off, but I didn't get depressed or anything. I felt really sorry for my husband that he had to grow up in this kind of environment since his early childhood. The mother-in-law would often call me
A country girl. A girl from a house with no history.
and
A poor girl.
as if she looked down on me. On the contrary, my husband's brother, who was his mother-in-law's real son, grew up being spoiled by his mother, so he was definitely a stupid boy. He always looked down on my husband, but it took him 5 years to graduate from one of the worst universities, and it was clear that no companies wanted to hire him. So he started working as a servant at his father-in-law's agency, but he stole the company's money. And at the end, my husband's father had to close down his agency. Right around that time, my husband's father got sick. And what's worse is that the mother-in-law left him untreated for quite a long time. And it seemed like he won't survive for long at that point. Right before he got hospitalized, he visited our house alone and apologized to my husband on the ground crying.
I took her in before I fully understood her personality. After that, I was too busy with work for a few years, and it's my fault for leaving her to do whatever she wants until it was too late to go back. I'm sorry you had to go through so much.
And that's what he said. It was our first time hearing about how his wife and son-in-law was using a lot of his money, and that his family's money was about to run out. Lastly, he said,
I wanted to give this to my grandchildren.
and gave us a huge savings account. It looks like he had been saving some money for some time, and there was a pretty decent amount of money set aside, but it was clear that he was only able to save up a small amount nowadays. But we were glad he felt that way, so we accepted it. Right after that, he got hospitalized. And after fighting his disease for a year and a half, he passed away. While he was at the hospital, his wife barely visited him, and the nurse told us that she would only visit to bring him the necessities, and that she would go home without having a single conversation with him. She caused his agency, which he had dedicated his life, to close down in the end, used up all of his money until he ran out of it, and she wouldn't even visit the hospital when he was sick. They were like parasites, and both my husband and I were getting furious. A week after his father's death, we had a discussion about what to do in the future, with a lawyer who was close to his father for a very long time. He knew how horrible his mother-in-law was, so he was basically on our side. As soon as our discussion started, the mother-in-law said,
The two of you seem to hate me, and having a vulgar, inferior daughter-in-law with us has a negative influence on my son.
And showed us a document to abandon our rights of inheritance and a document to end our marriage.
Hurry up and sign these documents for me.
The lawyer who was with us just sat there expressionless. So I spoke up. Yeah, let's just sign this and end everything here. It gives me shivers to think they're part of our family.
I agree. Now we can finally break relations with you.
After my husband said so, the mother-in-law and her son smirked while he signed the documents. And when the lawyer received all the documents, he stood up to leave and said,
Goodbye.
I could feel that he was silently angry at the mother-in-law because he used to be a friend of her husband.
This is my house, so you both should leave it as well.
When she demanded this to us, the lawyer, my husband, and I all wanted to make it clear. This is a real estate owned under the name of his father.
This is my mother's house, actually.
Huh? You have to be kidding.
It's the truth. First of all, thanks to your extravagant spending, there's nothing left to inherit. So the documents they just signed don't really hold any meaning. The only thing that is guaranteed by the document is that your relationship ended nice and clean.
Stop the nonsense. I didn't know any of this.
I didn't ask you for the rent because my father also lived here, but it's another story if a stranger is going to be living here.
Then where are we supposed to live at?
Yeah, this house is ours.
That can't be accepted.
The lawyer calmly told them, looking down at them with a cold stare. After that, he politely bowed to the two of us and left the room, saying he'll contact us again. We had nothing else to do here, so we decided to leave as well. Then let's get going, shall we? We'll contact you through our lawyer about the dates for when you have to leave this house. We're already strangers, so there's no need for us to meet in person. I hope you can move out as soon as possible.
Hey, I heard your family is rich. Can't you do something about it? We're a family. Are you going to leave us?
Huh? Did you already forget about the documents we just signed? We're strangers already. We gladly prepared everything if it was for his father, but there's no reason for us to do something for a stranger. The only thing you've done to us is bully us anyways.
Wait, I'll apologize. So do something about it. I didn't know we had nothing to inherit. We can just confiscate those documents, then that wouldn't be a problem.
Huh? We don't want to. Then I guess we won't be seeing each other anymore. Goodbye. We left them looking devastated and went home. I felt refreshed after I got to get some revenge for all the things she did to my husband when he was a child. After that, we told the whole story to the neighbors who lived close by and used to be close with my husband's father, and asked them if they can spread it around the whole neighborhood. They all knew how his wife was like, so they gladly agreed and casually spread the story to the whole neighborhood. A daughter from a neighboring wealthy family eventually bought the house to live with her family. The mother-in-law complained continuously about it, but because it was a property owned by my husband's mother's side, so she had no right over it and got kicked out in the end. At her new neighborhood, she pretended to be a poor mother who got all of her property stolen and got kicked out of the house by her daughter-in-law. But unfortunately, my friends lived around the area, so her neighbors soon found out her horrible personality, and no one ever took her seriously. After that, I heard from the lawyer that they believe they'll inherit a lot of money from his husband, and because they'll finally be breaking relations with us, they thought they'd be able to use the credit card as much as they want. So they even borrowed a card loan, withdrew the maximum amount of money, and extravagantly used up all of them. But now they don't have any money, so they're now in debt for all the money they spent. They really deserved it, don't they? The mother-in-law has been living an easy life as a housewife up until now, so what's waiting for her in the years to come is going to be hell for her. But it serves her right. Her stupid son would also definitely struggle with his work, so I hope he learns how useless he is in the hard way.
My mother, who was bright and kind to everyone, had changed into a whole different person and went crazy after my brother pointed out my mother's past. I was surprised when I got to know my mother's past, but firstly, when she was born, her mother passed away because of a difficult birth. Her father didn't work properly and was a gambling addict as well as an alcoholic, so her grandparents were very meddling. The four of them lived a poor life in a tiny apartment that was only 4 mats large. She had asthma, but they would just leave it thinking it was an ordinary cold, so she had been on the verge of death as well. After entering high school, she worked part-time to pay for her education fees and studied hard, spending most of her time at the library, which was reflected in her high test scores. But her father used up all the money she inherited from her mother, which she planned to use to go to college. So she went to college with a newspaper scholarship. After graduating college, her father got in debt. And because he abandoned his old parents, she had to work in the night alongside her day job, and she had to pay him more than $10 million. Then my mother met my father, and she told him that she didn't have any relatives. But it turns out that she had just broken relations with them. My father accepted everything about my mother, and they got married. My brother, who emotionally destroyed my mother, was very smart since his early childhood. He was the most hardworking and kindest among my siblings, and I looked up to him who would always play with us. My mother was a housewife, but worked as a Japanese teacher part-time. Although she had a part-time job, she never slacked off with the housework, and she would always participate in our school events. Our house was always clean, and most importantly, her cooking was always delicious. My parents were also close, so I think we grew up having an easy childhood without having any financial difficulties. My brother studied abroad, went to get a master's degree, and he eventually moved out to live alone after getting a job. But since then, my brother had gone crazy. Whenever he came back home, he would look down on our mother and badmouth her.
Mom, you're a housewife? Obviously, you're expected to do the housework perfectly.
He would say something like that. So my little brother and I always tried to talk sense into him. One day, it was the day of our parents' wedding anniversary. So after we enjoyed a feast as a family, we were spending a relaxed time at our parents' house. But then my brother said,
Mom, aren't you embarrassed for living off Dad like a parasite? It looks like you've had an easy life without any hardships. Maybe the feeling of embarrassment didn't develop properly while you grew up.
That was what he said. He was going overboard on her wedding anniversary, and when I was about to yell at him, the expression of my mother, who was always smiling, went blank. And in an expression that was different from when she usually scolded us, she pulled my brother by his collar with piercing cold eyes I've never seen her show. At that moment, we all gasped as if time had stopped ticking.
What do you know about me? You think you know everything by just seeing the surface? Huh? Can you imagine how much I've been through to be able to live this normal life? Do you even understand? Huh?
My mother shouted in one breath before we got a chance to stop her and started laughing. I couldn't believe how harshly she spoke because she usually spoke very politely. We were aghast, and my big brother was crying, probably from fear. I was so shocked as if I saw the Pandora's box being opened. Mom said as she laughed,
If things I've been through aren't hardships, I wonder what you call hardships. It's so weird. I have no idea.
She wouldn't stop laughing. Obviously, we weren't in the mood of celebrating their wedding anniversary anymore. My father got really mad at my brother, but he quickly ran away. My little brother quickly went after him, but he couldn't catch my brother, who was fast at escaping and went missing after that. Then, my little brother and I heard about our mother's past for the first time. After I heard what happened, my heart ached so much for her. What side of Mom have we been seeing? I knew nothing about my mother. Although my brother began all this, I was full of regrets. Mom got checked at the hospital, and she had to be hospitalized for a while with Dad by her side. She was far from recovering, but things seemed to be getting better, and my little brother, who was on a search for our big brother, called me saying he was hiding in one of his seniors' rooms. My little brother called him.
We know where you are. If you're not coming out, we'll come after you.
He agreed only if a senior was coming with him. My big brother, his senior, my little brother and I decided to have a discussion at a private restaurant. His senior was apparently very talented at work and took great care of his juniors. And probably because they got along very well, my brother started to worship this senior. He was from a family with a long history, and he had been treating not only his mother, but his sister like a slave, copying his father. Even after he started working as an adult, his ideas haven't changed. And my brother, who was his very close junior, got affected by him. I thought he was a horrible guy. Considering how he was the reason why my mother went crazy, I felt a strong sense of hatred towards him. My brother is too blind out of fascination, and his senior thinks he didn't do anything wrong. I thought we were supposed to be discussing about our mother. But when I was about to leave to use the restroom to calm myself down, surprisingly, the senior hugged me all of a sudden. I had no idea what was happening for a moment, but when I fought back with all my strength, he suddenly punched me really hard.
You're a woman, yet you dare to reject me? Just shut up and spend the night with me.
As he said so, he pinned me down and started to undress me. It was my first time being punched, so tears rolled down my cheeks out of pain and fear, and I desperately called for my brother's help, but he would just stare down at me and stay there. After a while, my brother came back, and he pushed the senior away with great force, punched him until he couldn't move, called the staff for help, and reported to the police. My little brother wasn't a big guy, but he went to a martial arts gym, so the senior had lost consciousness. He pulled his brother by the collar and yelled,
What are you doing while your sister is being sexually harassed?
He got furious and punched him in the face. Shortly after that, the police arrived, so we handed our brother and his senior over to them, and they got me a female officer to have a talk with me. After that, the senior was arrested at the crime scene, and although my brother technically didn't do anything, they found him guilty for doing nothing when his sister was being sexually harassed, because that means he basically allowed it to happen. But I really agree with the police's judgment. This is what I found out later. He had shown a photo of me to a senior a while ago, and his senior told me to introduce him to me. Back then, I refused, saying I didn't want to see him, but it turns out he was holding a grudge against it. After my father got to know about the incident, he got furious, broke relations with my big brother, and took action so that he wouldn't inherit anything from them. We were just an ordinary household, so I thought there wouldn't be much for us to inherit. But when we asked them, they told us they've been saving more than $50 million, so both my little brother and I were surprised. I was surprised to know that a normal salaryman can save so much. But because my mother was in charge of the finances of the household, I figured it was all thanks to my mother's abilities. Since then, I also went to take care of my hospitalized mother, and after half a year, she managed to recover. Both my little brother and I felt relieved to see the old version of our mother coming back. We promised ourselves not to open that Pandora's box ever again. But of course, mentioning about our brother or our mother's past became a taboo in our house. With the incident, my big brother got fired alongside his senior. They deserved it. They were involved in a sexual assault. Because it happened at a local restaurant, many people saw what happened and the rumors spread very quickly. My brother got known for letting someone sexually assault his sister and doing nothing to help, so everyone questioned his personality and no one ever dared to go near him. He got fired from his company, so he no longer was making any money. And because he used to live in the employees' dorms, I heard the rumor that he even lost a place to live in, but my father considers him to be dead. And my little brother also believes he never had a big brother. And that goes for me too. When I was sexually assaulted by a senior, despite his horrible actions, I thought my brother would help me, so I desperately called for his help. I don't know how many times I shouted for his help, but seeing how he never moved from his seat while he stared down at me was as scary as a senior. I think my family will never bring up our brother again. The fact that he emotionally destroyed my mother and the fact that he allowed my senior to do whatever with me are too horrible for us to forgive, although he might have been brainwashed by a senior. Even if he asks for our help in the future, I bet my family will never give him a hand. Well, he deserves it.
My name is Anna. I live with my husband, Ryan. It's been 3 years since we got married, but because we don't have kids, I still have a job even after I got married. One day, when I got home from work, my friend from high school, Maddie, suddenly asked me out for a meal. Maddie would always text me abruptly, and she would just disappear again when she got a boyfriend, so she was disliked by the other girls. Considering how she got in touch with me, I guess she got dumped by her boyfriend, so I decided to make some time for her to tell me about it. When I arrived at the Italian restaurant at the time we agreed to meet, Maddie was already seated at a table, and I saw her waving at me. Maddie had been pretty since high school, and even at the age of 26, she was still breathtaking as always. It had been a while since we met, so when we were filling each other up about our life, I got to know that she just broke up with her boyfriend, which I had already guessed.
He was a nice guy, but I got a bit worried because he didn't have a high salary.
When I heard her say that, I remembered that she was a type who loved money. As soon as I told her that I was married, she asked me how much money he made. So when I tried to reply by saying 30, she repeated,
30 million?
She got really interested. She didn't give me a chance to speak and asked so many questions like,
Which company? How old is he?
so I was taken aback. Then she repeatedly asked me,
Can you introduce me to some guys from your husband's company?
so I had no other choice but to invite her over next time. A week later, Maddie visited our house with full makeup on, as if she was about to go to a matchmaking party. And with that nasal voice she used since high school, she introduced herself.
Nice to meet you. I'm Maddie, Anna's friend.
My husband replied,
Nice to meet you.
and he somehow looked embarrassed. When I asked my husband to introduce her to some of the employees working at his company, while the three of us enjoyed our meal, he replied saying,
There's no one who's single without a girlfriend. I'll get in touch with you if there's anyone, so can I get your line?
it would be too much work for me to be the messenger owl between them, so I simply allowed them to exchange their line. But that was a big mistake. Since then, my husband would come home very late every day. I instantly got suspicious that he was meeting Maddie. But even when I asked him, "You're pretty late, where have you been?"
I was visiting my parents. My friend called, so I went out with him.
Like this, he wouldn't tell me the truth. I couldn't forgive Maddie for stealing someone else's husband, and I also couldn't forgive my husband who cheated on me with my friend. I planned to ask for compensation money once I got some proof, but I came up with another plan just then. That plan would allow me to get a divorce under the best circumstances. Since then, Maddie, who thought I had no idea about their affair, would confidently come over to my house saying,
Can I hang out at your house today?
I knew both Maddie and my husband were acting weird, but I pretended I didn't know and let them do their thing. And then one day, when Maddie came over to my house and we were drinking some alcohol, Maddie, who was getting drunk, was eyeing my husband in a flirtatious way. So I stood up and pretended to go to the bathroom. And when I secretly opened the door to the living room to observe what they were doing, they were kissing, just like I thought. I thought it was my chance, so I secretly took a photo and went back to the living room pretending like I knew nothing. The triumphant expression Maddie had on her face, as if she was looking down on me, was really a masterpiece. 2 months later, I was still spying on them having an affair. And one day, Maddie and my husband said they had something important to tell me. I thought it was finally coming, and when my heart started to race, my husband said,
Actually, Maddie got pregnant with my baby. I want us to get a divorce.
I never thought she was already pregnant, so I was surprised. But I decided to put my plan into action. A divorce? If she's pregnant, I have no choice but to agree. In that case, we won't divide the property, and I'll keep all the savings we made as a married couple. When I said that, my husband hesitated for a second, but Maddie said,
I don't mind. I'm sorry. Your high-spec husband is mine now.
and she smirked at me. Maddie, who is crazy about money, agreed that we wouldn't have to divide the property, which means she'll definitely still believes that my husband makes $30 million annually. After that, I took quick action. I quickly found myself a lawyer and got ready to make them pay for compensation. At the same time, I looked for a new place to live in and prepared to move out. And after I found a new mansion, I placed the divorce documents with my signature on the table and left the house. As I expected, my husband called me.
Hey, why did you have to leave the house without telling me? I still haven't found a job. How am I supposed to survive?
That's what my husband told me, so I answered coldly. Why would I know? We're strangers already, so how about you ask Maddie for help? According to what my husband told me, Maddie still believed that he had an annual salary of $30 million, and before he could tell her, she revealed that she got pregnant. And because I took all our savings with me, he hadn't been able to pay for his living expenses. But I was the only one who diligently contributed to our savings account as a married couple from my salary. So I had no plans of giving him a share from the very first place. Actually, my husband quit his job after we got married, and he enjoyed a lazy, jobless life for 3 years without even making efforts to find a new job. Knowing that I was a full-time employee, he depended on me for everything, so the feeling of love towards him was long gone. But I couldn't bring myself to ask for a divorce, thinking our savings, which I contributed to alone, would be divided equally among us as part of the division of property. So I got mad from the bottom of my heart when my husband cheated on me. But I thought it was a good opportunity to get a divorce without having to divide our savings. So I let them do their thing. What he did was all part of my plan, so I got to divorce him without having to face the negative consequences. So now I actually think I was lucky. But my revenge starts now. After I rejected him when he came to ask for my help, there was nothing he could do. And it turns out he borrowed money without telling Maddie. And whenever he became helpless, he would come to ask for my help again. When I demanded compensation money from him mercilessly, I guess he finally realized what he had done and called me again.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I'll apologize, so please don't make me pay for compensation.
My ex-husband, who begged and pleaded, looked very shameful and pitiful. I was getting confused about why I ended up marrying this person. I hated him to that extent. I not only asked my husband to pay for compensation, but also Maddie. When I sent her the proof of content, she quickly gave me a call. As soon as I took the call, she got furious and yelled.
What do you mean by compensation? Is it true that Ryan is jobless? Did you lie to me about him making $30 million?
I was trying to tell you that his salary was only $30, which he earned by cleaning the snow at my parents' house in the north. When I told her you're the one who misunderstood, she instantly got silent. And then she said,
I'm pregnant now. I don't need a jobless baby daddy.
So I told her that he was also in debt. Then she got even more furious and started making weird sounds, so I hung up. Then I blocked her number as well as her line. After Maddie gave birth to the baby of my ex-husband who was drowning in debt, she quickly got back to her job once she gave birth. My husband still had no motivation of working, so he had lived off of the money Maddie made from work. Their marriage life didn't work out, and they got a divorce within a year. Maddie became a single mother, and she had to take care of her baby while she worked alone, not being able to ask for child support from the baby's daddy. On the contrary, my ex-husband still hasn't managed to find a job even after his divorce and was struggling to pay the money back while he lived a life of being in debt. As a result of not missing the deadline of payment continuously, the company contacted his family and his family broke relations with him. He had no one to depend on and the consumer credit wasn't enough for him, so he even started relying on underground moneylenders. I heard that he now works abroad and does really hard work, which we're not entirely sure about. And in my case, I started dating a man I met after my divorce, and we're growing our love, considering the possibility of remarrying him in the future. To make sure I don't fail my next marriage again, I really want to check if he's diligent with his job. My name is Maria. I live with my husband, Sean. My husband is a civil servant and has a serious personality. But at home, he's sometimes clumsy, and he makes me laugh all the time. We don't have any children. The reason is because of a sickness I had in the past, and that made my body infertile. I'm really thankful for my husband, who understood my situation and decided to marry me. His mother had passed away when he was young, and at his parents' house, his father lived alone. His father was a really nice person, and I was glad that he treated me like I was his real daughter. My husband had an older sister who was 2 years older than him, and she had 2 children. The big sister was called Nancy, and the little sister was called Sarah. Sometimes, I would meet a sister's family at their parents' house, but the way she treated her children made me uncomfortable. She would spoil the little sister, Sarah, so much, while she had absolutely no interest in the big sister, Nancy. When she was pregnant, she put a lot of effort in educating her baby in the womb, and maybe that's why. But Sarah was great at English since she was small. Sarah was able to memorize everything by hearing about it just once, so my husband's sister would praise her by saying she was a genius. On the other hand, Nancy didn't really have a special talent. She was still in first grade, so I thought it wasn't a big deal. But my husband's sister treated her harshly, saying,
I educated the same way, but you're not smart at all. If you can't be a genius, I won't spend money on you anymore.
Whenever I saw Nancy looking sad after her mother scolded her, my heart really ached for her. But this was still my sister-in-law's family problem, so I wasn't sure if I could offer her my help. And I was struggling to decide whether it was right for me to keep this going on. But because I was just her aunt, I couldn't intervene easily, so I kept observant. And my father-in-law seemed to feel the same. One day, right after the summer break started in elementary school, my father-in-law suddenly called me. He spoke with a very troubled voice and said,
I want you to come here right now.
When I quickly headed to his house, I found my father-in-law and Nancy there. When I took a closer look at Nancy, she had clearly lost weight compared to when I saw her last time, and her clothes looked very small on her. I guess she hadn't taken a bath because her hair was dirty, and she just didn't look like a child who was being taken care of by a normal household. When I was at a loss of words seeing Nancy, my father-in-law called me to talk with him in another room and said,
Actually, my daughter's family called this morning and said they'll be on vacation abroad from today. So they left Nancy here telling me to look after her while they were away.
I couldn't believe that they left her when they were supposed to be on a family vacation. And I wanted to complain to my sister-in-law right now. But before that, I thought I had to hear Nancy out. So when I spoke to her, her personality had become very dark and didn't dare to open her heart for me. How come she changed so much in such a short period of time? First of all, I had her take a bath and washed all over her body, and I dried her hair while I combed gently. Then Nancy started crying all of a sudden. When I asked her why she was crying, she said she didn't know. I didn't know what to say, and when I was silent, Nancy mumbled in a small voice,
They won't let me out of my room even during dinner time, and when it's time to take a bath. They told me they didn't need a stupid kid in their house. They said the only child they had was Sarah.
When I saw Nancy cried as she told me all this, I had to give her a hug. I don't think you're stupid. No matter how many times I tell her, it didn't seem to heal the wounds in her heart. Since that day, I decided to take care of Nancy at my house, and the 3 of us started living together. First, we got rid of her worn-out clothes she was wearing and went shopping for new ones together. And after she got dressed in some nice clothes at the shop, we went to eat a parfait. On our way home, we went to the arcade, and when we won a plushie from the claw machine, Nancy got excited, clapping her hands. When I gave her the plushie, she got confused and said,
Huh? Can I have it?
So I told her yes, and then Nancy thanked me with twinkling eyes. Since then, she would bring the plushie everywhere, no matter where we went to. I thought we would discuss what to do from now on after my sister-in-law came back from her trip. But after living with her for a while, my thoughts had changed. Day by day, Nancy was opening her heart, and her smile was gradually coming back. And I was starting to think that I didn't want her to go back to my sister-in-law. I wanted to stay with her forever. I can't think of my life without Nancy. When I told my husband about how I felt, he said with a serious expression,
I'm glad you think that way. My sister abandons her at home, and that's child neglect. So let's consider adopting her as our child.
2 weeks later, my sister-in-law, who had tanned a lot, visited my house with Sarah. And then she said,
I heard Nancy was here.
Sarah continued with horrible words when she smiled.
I didn't buy any souvenirs for my stupid sister. My sister isn't part of our family anymore.
As soon as Nancy heard her mother and sister's voice, She suddenly started weeping and said,
I don't want to go home. I'll stay here forever. Auntie, can you be my mom?
she hugged me and didn't let me go. When her mother said that,
Oh, that's great. Although she's so stupid, I did have to go through all the pain of giving birth. So I can't just accept that for free.
that was what she said. I got furious and answered, "It's my first time seeing such a horrible person like you. I'll pay you, so leave Nancy alone and get out right now." I shouted and kicked her out of my house. That night, when I told my husband what his sister told me, my husband said to Nancy,
You don't have to go back anymore, so you can relax. You're our child now, Nancy.
Then he gently patted her head. Since that day, Nancy started calling us Dad and Mom. The next weekend, my husband called his sister to visit their parents' house and broke relations with her after paying her money, and we completed the process of adopting Nancy. He said that his sister happily went home with an envelope that had $1 million inside. His father, who was also there, got really furious and broke relations with her as well, and we promised that we would never get involved with her again. But after that, we ended up meeting her again at somewhere we never expected. 13 years later, Nancy had become a full adult and was dreaming to become a professional pianist while she went to a music college. She was approved as a pianist around the world, being invited by numerous concerts abroad, and she attracted a lot of attention in the music industry as one of the new Japanese pianists who everyone was excited about her future. One day, a piano concert was being held at a local hall, so my husband and I excitedly got the tickets to see our daughter's success. Since she became our child, we've been taking care of Nancy with love, so we were more than happy that she grew up to become a wonderful adult. When we visited her backstage with a large bouquet, my daughter, who was wearing a beautiful dress, greeted us. Although she was still based in her hometown, because of her study abroad and concerts worldwide, she rarely was at home, so it felt like ages since I met her. When we handed her the bouquet, she hugged us happily. Then, at that moment, one of the janitors approached us saying,
Excuse me. Please, let me pass.
she wanted to go past us, so we apologized that we blocked her way. I'm sorry. But her face looked familiar, so I stared at her for a while. Then my daughter yelled.
Oh, Auntie!
I was confused as she called her auntie, but then I soon realized she was my sister-in-law. When I took a closer look, she seemed very thin and looked as she was older than her actual age. She awkwardly said in a frustrated expression,
I knew it was you. I knew it when I saw the poster.
So my husband approached her and glared at her.
Can you not come near our daughter? We still haven't forgiven you.
She quickly disappeared as if running away. From what I heard from my husband's relatives was that my sister-in-law spoiled Sarah as much as she wanted to after giving Nancy up for adoption. Then Sarah developed a personality that had absolutely no patience, and after following what her parents said, she ended up being very fat. Because of her horrible personality, she couldn't make any friends, and she started to shut herself in her room. And when she graduated middle school, she refused to go to high school and completely became a shut-in. And she recently had a divorce. At this point, their money had also run out due to Sarah's large appetite and other expenses, so she had to leave the house broke. I heard that she supports Sarah by having multiple cleaning jobs. I don't think I'll ever meet her again in my life, but I hope she'll have a poor life forever with Sarah because that's what she deserves. Back then, I used to be in elementary school. I didn't really fit in because I was an introvert. In my class, there was a boy who was very poor and would always wear worn-out clothes. His name was Jacob, but everyone usually called him names.
Hey, the beggar's here! He's wearing the same thing again!
Don't come near us! Go away!
He often got picked on and was isolated in class. At my elementary school, they didn't provide us with lunch, so we all brought lunch boxes from home. But Jacob would always secretly disappear during lunch, and when I followed him wondering what he was up to, I found him eating half of the banana in the backyard alone, so I went to talk to him. Then Jacob got surprised and tried to run away. Would you like to share this lunchbox with me? My mom accidentally gave me my brother's lunchbox today, so I can't finish it alone. When Jacob saw my lunchbox, he seemed very hungry and asked if I really wanted to share it with him. so I gave him a firm nod. Jacob ate and ate as he said the rice balls and side dish that my mom cooked were delicious. While we ate lunch, I got to know about him more, and he told me that his mother was single and was at home, but she was sick, so she would usually stay in bed. And they're managing to live under a roof from the welfare they receive. But his previous school provided him with lunch, so his mother doesn't know that students are required to bring lunch boxes to school every day. Because he doesn't want to be a burden for a sick mother, he hasn't told her about his lunch. So he tried to make white rice balls by himself and brought bananas he bought for half the price at the supermarket, secretly eating them at school. After I got to know his family situation, I asked my mom starting the next day to make some extra for my lunch. When I told my mom about my plan, she happily agreed and packed me an extra lunchbox with mine. Since then, I decided to eat lunch together with Yuji. Yuji would eat the lunchbox looking so happy every day and always said thank you. We were spending our school days like this, but after about half a year later, Jacob's grandparents got to know his mother's situation, and they decided to take care of Jacob at their house, so Jacob had to change schools. I was sad that I no longer see him, but I was glad to know that he wouldn't have to suffer anymore, so I said goodbye with a smile. It's been 15 years since then, and I had a job, but I was encountering a problem. My mother, who used to make us lunchboxes, suddenly got an intractable disease, and the doctor told us it was curable, but because our insurance won't be covering for it, we needed a large amount of money for treatment. At that time, I didn't have much money, and the doctor also told us that we had to start by looking for a doctor who can treat her disease in the first place. I was struggling to make a decision because it's going to take a great amount of time and money, but then I met someone unexpectedly.
Are you Sandy?
I thought I heard a familiar voice, and when I turned to look, I found Jacob standing there. It's been 15 years, so he had grown up to be an adult, but his face still resembled his childhood, and I was happy to see him again unexpectedly. He asked me why I had a glum expression on my face before he stopped me, so I couldn't stop myself from telling him about my mom. Then, the emotion I'd been holding in overflowed, and I ended up crying in front of him. Seeing me cry, Jacob cheered me up. He told me that he had just moved back to his hometown and said he wanted to keep in touch, so we exchanged our phone numbers. A few days later, I received a miraculous phone call. It was from the hospital, and they told me that they found a doctor who can treat my mother. I quickly rushed to the hospital, and the doctor told me more about it. I'm glad that there was a doctor who would treat my mother's intractable disease. But when I asked about the price, he replied by saying it was free. When I was surprised because it was definitely unbelievable, there was a knock on the door and Jacob came in. I didn't know why Jacob was here, and I stood there surprised. The doctor explained to me that he was the doctor who would be treating my mother's disease, so I got even more surprised. I couldn't follow what was going on, and my head was starting to panic. So after we were alone in the room, Jacob told me more about it. Actually, it turns out that Jacob studied really hard after moving in with his grandparents and became a doctor using scholarships. Then I remembered that Jacob always scored really high on the test despite being isolated in class. He's been working as a doctor abroad until a while ago, but his grandmother who accepted him and his mother back then got sick, and she was looking for a talented doctor, so he returned. After he heard about my mother's disease, he knew he would be able to cure it, so he used his connections to come to this hospital. I appreciated our miraculous reunion, but I had to ask about the price. Our insurance doesn't cover Mom's disease. I bet it's going to cost a lot.
Your mother is my savior, you know. I'm glad I got the chance to return her the favor. And this hospital is owned by my friend. On the condition that I would be working here, he agreed to make some adjustments.
No way. Are you really sure?
It's fine. I promise to cure your mother.
Although, it's true that I shared my lunchbox with him that was 15 years ago. Plus, lunchboxes and a surgery that isn't covered by insurance are two different things in the first place. So, to be honest, I was confused. But it wasn't possible for me to pay such a large amount of money, so I had to ask Jacob for his help at the end, although I felt very apologetic. Jacob really cured my mother's disease, and he told me that he would cover for all the treatment fees and hospital expenses. When I told my mom about that, Mom cried saying she felt too apologetic. But Jacob said,
Back then, your lunchbox gave me hope to live. I was really happy. I'm glad I finally got to return the favor.
And that's what he said. Since then, my mother's disease connected us once again. We started meeting each other often, and eventually we started dating. After we got engaged, we received an invitation for a reunion party. He didn't graduate the same elementary school, but he was definitely one of the students who spent their childhood there. So we decided to participate together. We went there together as we planned, but it looked like Jacob had even been on TV. So his classmates approached him trying to take advantage of his status. Those classmates included the girls who used to look down on Jacob back in elementary school. They were trying their best to flirt with Jacob to become his girlfriend, but Jacob said,
I'm engaged to someone.
and introduced me to them. After they got to know that me, who used to be an introvert, ended up being the super talented Dr. Jacob's fiance, the girls were pretty shocked.
No way, that quiet girl is your fiance? I was actually flirting with you.
Just like that. Honestly, I wanted to brag about this a bit to the girls who used to pick on Jacob back then, so I felt refreshed. Then we got married, and soon I got pregnant with our baby. I got to meet Jacob's mom, who used to be weak.
Thank you for helping us back then, when I couldn't do anything for my son.
And she thanked me like that. My parents also never expected us to reunite with each other, so they seemed surprised about our miracle. Well, I was definitely the one who was surprised the most. Jacob's mother also visited the hospital to get herself treated, and I was glad to know that she was recovering. A few months later, I gave birth to a healthy baby. Reuniting with someone I've met in elementary school after 15 years is nothing but a miracle. Who expected that what happened in my childhood would actually save my mom's life? I never expected that back then, but now I'm very happy. My name is Sandra. A year ago, I married my husband, Kiyoshi, who is 2 years older than me. And since then, I both work and do housework. My husband is proud of being easygoing and having a lot of friends, so he would often invite me to go to drinking parties with his friends. All his friends were nice people, and a married couple who he had known from his childhood, Jake and Natalie, were especially kind to me. At first, I was excited to meet them, but after I interacted with them several times, I realized something. My husband was trying to leave me out of their conversation. One day, there was an incident that would make me very aware of that at the drinking party.
Hey, do you remember Sarah, our classmate from high school?
Yeah, I do. It's so nostalgic.
She used to have a crush on me.
Hey, you don't have to say that in front of Sandra.
It's fine. I'm here drinking with my childhood friends. There's nothing to be worried about.
I used to be close with Sarah, but she never mentioned having a crush on you.
Really? Oh, do you remember the coach of the baseball club in middle school?
Hey, I've always thought about this, but let's not talk about our past leaving Sandra out of the conversation. It's no fun at all.
It's fine. It's natural that she can't join our conversation. She's not our childhood friend.
I've had enough. I'm moving to another seat with Sandra, so have fun with just the two of you.
What are you mad about?
It's your fault.
Why?
After we moved seats, Natalie apologized to me.
I'm sorry. I bet you felt upset, feeling like you were left out.
Actually, I was starting to think that Kane was trying to leave me out of the conversation on purpose.
What are they thinking? If there's anything you want to talk about with me, let's hang out with just the two of us from now on.
Thank you so much. Like this, I exchanged contacts with Natalie, and we had to go home with a heavy atmosphere surrounding us. My husband didn't look like he was aware that he was being mean and regretting his actions at all. After my husband got busy with his work and didn't have enough time to go out drinking with his friends, he started to lash out his stress at home. He would complain about the food or housework as soon as he got home. And if he doesn't like the menu I cooked him for dinner, he would often eat instant noodles instead. I understand that he was busy at work, but I also worked full-time. So it's natural for me to feel frustrated when he complains about my housework and cooking. You're home.
I'm exhausted. Hey, isn't the doorway a bit too dusty? Vacuum the floor sometimes, will you?
I vacuumed the floors just now.
Huh? Then why is it still dusty? How about you learn from my mom, huh?
Your mother?
I've never taken you to my parents' house because it's far away, but their house is super clean. Mom loves to keep tidy, and she was perfect, cooking and doing the housework with great effort. I just can't accept people who do things half-heartedly.
I honestly think I'm doing things properly.
You have to be kidding! The rooms are dirty, and you're bad at cooking as well. You can't call yourself a wife at this point. You better learn from my mom.
If you insist, take me to your mother. I haven't seen her since our wedding. How am I supposed to learn from her?
Don't be so unreasonable. It takes us 3 hours to get there using the bullet train. Make sure you make yourself useful as a wife, okay?
He would compare me with his mother every day and insult me as a useless wife. It was clear that he was lashing out on me because of his stress from work. And when I was starting to grow tired with my husband, who would always complain about me, something that would be the last straw for me happened. I'm home.
You came home late. What time do you think it is?
Huh? It's 7 p.m.
What are you thinking coming home late when I have my day off? Where's my dinner?
I'm gonna start cooking now.
From now? There's no way I can wait.
Today might have been a day off for you, but I had work today.
So what? You should have made efforts to come home early on my days off. You're bad at housework and cooking, but who do you think you are?
What the hell? I also have a job. Don't make me do everything.
My mom used to work full-time, but completed all the housework and cooked for me perfectly. You useless failure.
That's so mean. I've had enough. If you don't want me, I'll leave.
Do whatever you want. I won't let you in, even if you come back.
With those words, my husband kicked me out and locked the door. I had nowhere to go, so I thought I might visit my friend's house. But I had something I wanted to know about, so I decided to contact Natalie. When I told her what happened, Natalie got worried and picked me up, so I ended up visiting her house. She was considerate of me who was feeling upset, and she listened to my story very kindly.
Kane is really horrible. He wasn't like this before.
Really?
Yeah, when we were students, he was bright and would make others laugh by making self-deprecating jokes. He used to be so popular at school, and my husband and I were close to him. But after we moved to the city, he started showing off and even began to lie about himself just to make himself look good. So Jake and I were talking about whether we should keep a distance from him.
I see. I have a question I want to ask.
What is it?
What is Kane's mother like? I heard that she did everything perfectly from her full-time job, housework to cooking. But is that true?
Huh? Did Kane lie to you about that too? Kane's mom is really close to my mom, but she's a clumsy and lazy but funny person who's been a housewife for a long time. Oh, I have a good idea.
Natalie asked her mom if she can come visit her for a trip and bring Kane's mom with her. Then she agreed to bring Kane's mom with her when she visits a month later. So I started preparing for the day and got ready for my divorce. When I told Natalie that I could no longer stay with my husband, who was a liar and abused me emotionally, she said she would help me and get revenge on him. Until then, I had no other choice but to go back to my husband and live a normal life. My husband had no idea and continued to insult me every single day. My anger was about to surpass my limits, but I told myself to hold it in so that I can get my revenge. And I tried my best to be patient for a month. And a month later, Natalie's mom and Kane's mom came to visit. So Natalie, her husband, my husband and I got a day off from work and went to have a meal together. When we got our food, my husband looked awkward every time his mom opened her mouth to speak. I'm not surprised because from how she looked, his mom was far from the perfect wife he was telling me about. Once we were getting hyped up, Natalie asked Kane's mom about her past.
By the way, have you been cleaning the house, Auntie? Don't tell me you still live in a garbage dump.
Do you think I'm the type to clean? But calling it a garbage dump is too much.
Hey, Mom.
You've been a housewife for a long time. You should at least do some cleaning.
You're so lazy.
My only strength is my bright personality.
Mom!
What is it, Kane? Why is your face so red?
You don't have to give them unnecessary information.
You've been lying to me about everything.
No!
I can't stay with a person who would lie and insult me. I'm going to divorce you.
Huh? You have to be kidding!
I had enough with your emotional abuse.
No way. Emotional abuse. What are you talking about?
I told his mom about all the things my husband has been doing to me. Then, his mom, who is bright and loves to laugh, got really mad. She dragged my husband by his collar, took him outside, and started to scold him in a loud voice. Then Natalie and Jake also joined her and started to scold him about how bad his daily behaviors were. My husband apologized after his mom urged him to, but my anger was already at my peak, so I gave him the divorce papers right there and went home. I knew I was going to divorce him, so I had already gotten ready to leave. I left the house with my packed up things before my husband came home. My husband called and texted me to apologize numerous times, but I had no intention of accepting his apology, so I just told him I want a divorce. After that, his parents came to visit me to apologize, but I clearly told them that I had no intention of forgiving him. Then, his parents got very mad and demanded that he should give me 80% of our property as compensation for his emotional abuse. Thanks to that, I was able to move into a new mansion quickly, and now I live a free and single life. Natalie and her husband also grew distant from my ex-husband, and we will still keep in touch after my divorce. From what Natalie told me, my ex-husband is very upset after his friends and parents left him, and when she last met him, he was mouthing words of regret. I have no intention of getting involved with him anymore, but I hope he learned his lesson and changed for the better. My name is Amy. I'm a 35-year-old single mother, and I live in my parents' house with my son who is in high school. The four of us, my parents, my son Richard, and I live together, and my parents own a small restaurant. I also have a full-time job, and my son is busy with his school and part-time job. So we would usually split the housework among all the family members. Mom, I'm going to do the laundry, so if you have any clothes you want to wash, pass it to me.
Thank you. I'll vacuum the floor. So can you wash the dishes, Ryu?
Okay.
We were busy every day, but we all helped each other with the housework, so we were able to take our time to enjoy dinner together, and that was our family rule. One day, when I was living a peaceful life, feeling fulfilled with my life in my parents' house, my older brother Henry suddenly gave me a call. Hello?
Long time no see. Dad and Mom aren't picking up my calls, so I called you.
Their restaurant is doing well, so both Dad and Mom are busy every day. What do you want?
Actually, I quit my job and decided to go back home, so can you clean my room? See ya!
Wait a minute. Richard is using your room now, so I can't do that. And how come you decide to move in without consulting us beforehand?
I already ended the contract with my apartment, so I can't go back. I'll move in this weekend, so I'll see you there.
Hey, bro. After making his one-sided remarks, he hung up. That night, we had a family meeting. We all thought he was a nuisance, so we all agreed that we never want to live with him. My brother can't keep his job for long, and he would often change his girlfriends as well. Every time he got short of money, he would depend on his parents, and my parents have been struggling a lot because of him. So none of our family members trusted him at all. When he got a girl pregnant 2 years ago, he officially got married without telling my parents, and he has never invited his wife over to our house even once. As a result of our family meeting, we all agreed to kick out my brother and his wife from our house. That weekend, my brother and his wife visited us with huge luggage. On that day, my parents had work, so my son and I tried to fight him off. I told you that you can't move in with us.
Don't be so mean. Oh, here's my wife, Kate, and my son, Yale.
Nice to meet you.
Huh? Isn't your wife too young?
I'm 23 years old.
She's 14 years younger than me. Isn't she so cute?
14 years younger than you?
Come on in. Did you clean my room?
Don't come in without our permission.
I'm using your room right now, Uncle.
You'll share a room with Amy from today.
I've had enough.
First of all, we have a 1-year-old baby with us. Aren't you being a bit too harsh to tell us to go home? Okay. You must be hungry. Are you gonna ignore the baby when he's crying?
Her baby started to cry, so there was nothing more we could say, and we let them inside. Right after my brother came in, he started to take all of my son's things out of his room and put them out into the hallway.
Stop it! Shut up, this is my room.
Hurry up and help me move my things inside.
As soon as my brother and his wife entered the house, they were doing whatever they wanted to do, so my son and I had no other choice but to share a room from that day. After my parents came home, we had another family meeting, and we discussed about what to do in the future. My brother and his wife told us that they had nowhere else to go because they already sold their apartment, so we had to let them live with us until he found another new job. If they're going to live with us, they'll have to follow the rules we have in this house. So we told them about our rule to split the housework equally among us. And then I could clearly see from her expression that my sister-in-law wasn't happy about it.
Splitting the housework? We have a kid, you know, and Kate is still 23. She can't do housework. I have to go find a new job, so don't include me in this.
If you can't help us with the housework, get out of the house right now.
Yes, everyone is cooperating despite being busy.
Actually, the two of you who are jobless should volunteer to do them instead of us.
I absolutely can't.
Don't force Kate into this.
Like that, we started living together. My sister-in-law, Kate, can't do housework at all. And she was acting all lazy, as if she thought the only thing she should be doing was to take care of her kid. Kate, I'm off to work now. Be sure to wash the dishes you used.
I don't want to have rough hands, so can you do the dishes, sis?
Mom has to work until noon today, so can't you at least wash your own dishes?
I can't. I'm too busy taking care of my kid.
Hey, don't group up and bully her, or are you being jealous because Kate's young and pretty?
Stop with the nonsense. A week passed with none of them cooperating with the housework. And because we had more family members, there were more things to do, so we were getting tired. The situation didn't change, and we all had enough. So we decided to fight against my brother and his wife. You're not doing what you promised.
If you can't help us with the housework, we can't have you live with us.
Are you still complaining?
Your family is so narrow-minded.
Now that you're living here without paying us a single penny, we need you to at least do some housework.
Okay. I got it. I have a good idea. I'll make a lunchbox for everyone tomorrow.
You don't have to push yourself.
Because tomorrow is your first day at work.
Huh? You found a new job.
Yeah, but I don't have a single penny to spare for you guys. I'm gonna work for Kate and Yale, so don't you dare tell me to pay you.
What the hell?
So embarrassing. Even I contribute to the living expenses.
Shut up! Kate, thanks so much. You're my only angel.
It must have been hard to be surrounded by such a horrible family. I'll help relieve your stress as much as you want.
It made me nauseous listening to their conversation. The next day, my sister-in-law actually woke up early and was preparing our lunchboxes. When I tried to sneak a peek, she quickly hid them. I got suspicious from the way she acted, so I secretly checked what was inside the lunchbox she handed me. Then I found a box full of rice, and with carefully cut seaweeds, she wrote, "I'm the hag who loves to bully her sister-in-law." When I opened the lunchbox that was made for my son, I found the words, "I'm actually a pervert in the inside." For my mom, the word said, "It's so much fun to bully my daughter-in-law. A mean hag, that's who I am." For my dad, I found the words, "I'm an old goat who harasses people sexually. So what?" I got furious seeing them, so I took a photo of the lunchboxes with my smartphone, wrapped them with a cloth, and handed it to my brother who overslept and rushed out of the house. I bet Kate got really excited because it's your first day at work. It must have been so hard to make such a huge lunchbox. Make sure to finish everything.
Oh, Kate, she's so cute.
My brother had no idea and left the house happily bringing the lunchbox with him. That night,
Hey, Kate, what was that lunchbox? I finally found a job, but you dared to tease me? So rude!
Huh? What are you talking about?
Don't act like you have no idea. It's this.
That's
That's the lunchbox I made for your family. I took a photo of each of the lunchboxes and sent them to your parents. Huh? After my brother left, I sent the photos of the lunchbox to my mom, and I asked her to send them to my sister-in-law's mother.
Your mother replied around lunchtime saying she'll be on her way, so I guess she'll be arriving any minute.
Mom's coming. It takes 3 hours by bullet train to get here from her house.
Right then, the doorbell rang at the best timing. When we opened the door, my sister-in-law's parents were there. Her parents apologized so many times, bowing their heads, and even brought us some snacks.
We'll make sure to educate and discipline her so that this won't be happening ever again.
Come on, we're going home. You better prepare yourself because you'll never be stepping outside of the house from now on.
Huh? What do you mean?
While she looked confused, her parents dragged her outside as if they were pulling her by her collar. After they forcefully pushed her and her baby into the car, she left as she screamed, looking somehow furious. My brother apologized awkwardly, but no one listened to him. The next day, we kicked him out of his room, brought back my son's things inside, and we went back to living our life as if nothing happened. I guess it was too awkward for him that my brother left the house without saying anything, and he never came back again. In the case of my sister-in-law, her parents were so mad at her that they forced her to get a divorce, making her a single mother. I bet she got lonely after living a life under her parents' surveillance at their house, and she soon contacted us. But my brother had changed his phone number and went missing, so my sister-in-law never got to meet him again. Well, I'm glad that we're back to living our peaceful life.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.